Here. So awesome. I know it's kind of late there, so I do apologize for being a
Oh,
little late.
I'm a night owl anyway, so.
For sure, no worries. But yeah, so I did have questions and stuff that I written down, but I kind of wanted to be more of a open discussion than an interview. So thank you for your time. I do appreciate it.
Sure.
So
Thank
just
you for having me.
oh, for sure, for sure. So just starting off, like, so for people who don't know who you are, you could tell, the fans out there exactly who you are and what you do.
So my name is Olga Turka. I am the costume set and production designer of Terrifier 2.
Awesome, awesome. Now, how did you get your start? So before we jump into Terrifier, I just want to get to know you as a person. So how did you get your start, and where exactly are you from? Were you born and raised in New York or?
No, actually in New Jersey. I'm a Jersey girl.
Okay.
New Jersey. So I was born and raised in New Jersey, and I grew up in Jersey Shore, an area called Toms River. Growing up, I always collected magazines, and I was always obsessed with and obsessive over editorials and photographs. And I wasn't really sure why, but I collected a lot of magazines. I would cut out and collage and mood board. And yeah, that was just kind of a hobby, but I was always very studious and kind of a nerd too. So, so after high school, I went to Rutgers University. I studied economics and French, double major.
Okay.
I did the kind of studious thing. I wanted to do something that seemed stable, but I always had this itch, if that makes sense. I was always into fashion, and I kind of floated in my 20s, bartending. And a couple years after Rutgers, I went to FIT, which is the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So there, for 2 years, I studied wardrobe styling and wardrobe technician. So, learning how to create clothes that work for theater and quick changes, and also just studying fashion styling. But one of my favorite classes there that really intrigued me was one that was about script analysis. So yeah, they gave you a script and they would tell you to create the world and create the characters, but really focusing on character idiosyncrasies. So would this character wear a watch? How do they tie their shoelaces? These minute details. But if you think about it, every person walking the planet has their way of going about the world. So I really realized that each of these details are so important when you're trying to portray a story. And this just has kind of stayed with me. And, from there, I started wardrobe styling, and it kind of segued slowly but surely into film.
Nice. Okay. So just growing up,
Mhm.
now, so you said you always had a thing for fashion and design. So growing up, did you create your own type of wardrobe, your own fashion looks?
Oh,
When you,
yes. So I grew up first generation. Both my parents are from Turkey. So one of the things that was, I think, instilled in me was to not to always look really good. I got that from my mom. She always put me in these really cute and put together outfits. But when we didn't have a lot of money, we would make things. We would make Halloween costumes. We would make, just put together things, even if it was on a budget. And I think that always stuck with me.
okay, for sure, for sure. So after attending university, now, did you have any internships when you were in college, or how did you jump right into doing? Well, so I'm sorry, you probably didn't jump right into doing film. You probably did. You
Mhm.
said earlier commercials and all that stuff. So how did you get your first gig?
I think it was through word of mouth. I had a roommate that was in the arts, and just mentioned to someone she worked with on a commercial, because she was an actress, that I was interested in wardrobe styling. And my start actually was in music videos. So I started wardrobing music videos, but some were like very low budget. You know, some were like I worked for free. It was just like a creative outlet and trying to get work and resume work. And you know, that segued into styling for commercials and things like that.
Okay, so who's the biggest celebrity within the music industry that you designed for?
I've worked with Counting Crows, Metallica. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. So a band called Seven Dust. You know, yeah, I can't think of the biggest. You know, I've worked on quite a few things.
Nice. Okay, so just jumping right into your movie career. Now, what was the first movie that you actually got to work on?
So around, I would say 2014, 2015, I started working on a film called Hereafter, which was originally a musical. And it's a very interesting musical because it's about the afterlife. And what it makes the audience do is like try to understand, like, how do you perceive the afterlife? What do you think happens after death? And it's this story of this older gentleman who is, you know, kind of just going through grief of losing his like one true love. And just like how he just processes that. And you know, it was such a beautiful, beautiful piece. So that was translated to film. And we had Danny Aiello was the actor that played the older gentleman. And it's still like sort of floating, like we filmed this beautiful piece, but unfortunately Danny had passed away. So I'm not sure where we stand with the film, but it was one of his last works.
Gotcha. Oh man. So I know, just doing a little bit of research on you, you actually did a film called A Shot Through the Wall. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
I was called to, that is an interesting story because, you know, for some reason I applied to be the costume designer, but it didn't work out. So I came back for the reshoots and helped out with the wardrobe supervision. So it's basically what I did was take somebody else's designs that they already established, but make sure the continuity is there for these reshoots. And that was a great learning experience for me.
Gotcha. Now, with that as well, so you worked on Zombie Wedding. How was that?
Yeah. That we just filmed, we just wrapped in early November. And that also was a theater experience that I worked on, the original theater experience, and that was developed into a film. And it's basically, I would describe it as a zombie rom-com sort of. And what it is like a human bride, you know, is engaged and gets hopefully married to a zombie groom. And then all the chaos that ensues with humans and zombies at a wedding.
That I want to see. That's kind of.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun to film.
For sure. So yeah, just jumping right into Terrifier 2. So I have to say, I gotta have my little fanboy moment real quick. It is an honor and a privilege to talk to you. Just because like your sole job, like, and I think that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you is because a lot of people don't know the behind the scenes of dial in every character to get them to relate to the audience, and you're responsible for that. So just like kind of walk us through, like, how did you even get connected to Damien with Terrifier 2?
So I have a really good friend, Anthony Giordano, who is a special effects makeup artist, but also teaches it. And he recommended me to Damien for costume design. So originally when our first talks with Damien, you know, I received the script. I hadn't heard of Terrifier before. So, you know, I watched the first one and then I read the script and I was like, oh my God, this is so insane. But I also, because of how insane it was on the budget, I declined the job at first. And I declined it twice, just kind of because it was just so like, oh my God, this is so incredible. This is so huge, but how are we going to do this on this budget? So thank goodness that Damian is very persistent, and the third time's the charm, and here we are.
Sure. I mean, so I don't even want to imagine, let's say if we didn't have you involved in this film, this probably would have been something totally different in that type of aspect, because I'm pretty sure you added your own flair, your own uniqueness, you and your team, to Terrifier. So when you went back and watched Terrifier, the first one, what were your initial thoughts? Like, okay, no, this is too crazy. Because I know you said before that you never really watched horror movies, which kind of stunned me.
So I'm not even joking. Like, I was super terrified my entire life of horror films. I'm just like a very sensitive person. So just seeing like human suffering I'm not I can't do this. Now I have a newfound appreciation, of course, but so yeah, when I watched the first one, my mom actually watched it with me, and
Wow.
neither one of us really watch horror. So I don't know how many minutes in, but we were screaming at the top of our lungs, and we shut the windows because I think it was summertime when I first got the first script. So we shut the windows because we didn't want someone to think we were getting like murdered because we were screaming so much. It was intense for sure. And yeah, so but I just loved, like, after watching that and then reading the script for Terrifier 2, I was like, holy cow, like, this is such like an insane, like, I don't want to say upgrade, but it's just such a like twist to the first one.
For sure. So like, just walk us through like a day on set. So you are on set day one. What is it that you would do day one?
So day one, I've said this in another interview, Jackie did the hair and makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're at the beginning of pre-production when you're prepping everything, you're still getting to know each other and whatnot. And, you're not really sure how each other works. Like, I'm not really sure how Damian works on set or anything, but, you work out the kinks. So the first day on set was an overnight shoot. And that is when Sienna is walking through the Terrifier grounds and looking for Jonathan.
Oh, that was day one?
That was day one.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also that day, we also filmed Kaylee, who plays Brooke, running through away from Art. So Jackie says this story much more eloquently than I do, but basically our first interaction with Damian on set, Jackie was talking to Damian. Damian's like, okay, now, Brooke has been through a car window, so we need to destroy her outfit and mess her up and make her look crazy. Like, she just been through a lot and she's running now. So Jackie is very detail oriented and kept asking, like, are you sure you want us to destroy it? Yes, destroy it. So we only have 2 copies of her costume. So I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. So we cut it up, we shred it, we do all this stuff and mess up her hair and everything. So we show up to set and he's like, what did you do? He's like, this is too much. And I probably turned white or purple or something in that moment, just because it's my first time working with this director. And, but it's just interesting how the word destroy is so different for like 3 different people, what I mean? So you just start working on like communication and things like that. I think those shots, are only shown from the back because of we went a little too far in the sequence of events, because, later on she goes through a lot more. So mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just like such a funny story how it started off and then, the camaraderie that ended up later. So
for sure. So, so how important is it to have chemistry with, the crew? Because essentially, like you said before, you have to feed off each other's energy because you don't know what somebody else may do. So how is that with the chemistry?
Oh, it is so vital. It's just vital for creating, like, collaboration is probably my favorite part of what I do. I love working with other artists and, shooting ideas. And our crew was very small. Like, at its core, I think it's like 9-10 people, and there's like just me doing like costume, set, and production design. And of course we had like a few people like help here and there, but is like one person doing lighting, one person doing this. So we really got to know each other and everything, and really help each other out. Yeah, I mean, I have like such connections now after that, like with Damien, with Jackie, and with Britt, who did graphic design, in a way that is almost like, like,
Like
it's just like, it was like meant to be. It was like written in the stars that we were all meant to be on this project together.
for sure. So how long were you guys actually like together, like from filming to the very end? Was it a few years, or how
It
long
was,
were you guys?
yeah, it was about, I think it's filming started in 2019, at the end of 2019. For some reasons it was delayed until, like, I would say end of October.
Mhm.
And then what would happen is that we would prep like a few weeks, because obviously Damien did the FX and that takes a lot of work. I did the costumes and the sets. That takes a lot of time to do, but we would do like a block of shooting where we would shoot for like a week straight, like a scene in a location or whatever, and then take a week off to prep again. So this was kind of like the vibe, but then 2020 happens and the lockdown. So
Wow. Yeah, I can only
yeah.
like, going through COVID trying to film. So with you being, a costume designer, and all that good stuff. So set designer, what exactly would your job title be in creating this scene?
um do you mean like, so what do I do like when I get a
Yeah,
project,
so
or
I'm
okay.
sorry. So because some people may not know the difference between you being a costume designer, production, and then the set designer as well. So
Mhm.
just people who will eventually see this, I just want them to know your different job titles that you had on this film.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting story too. So as I said, I came on originally as just the costume designer. And Damien and I being in the kitchen, and I call it like the creative kitchen, like just vibing and like shooting off each other, and we just like really hit it off with like just like very in sync brains of creativity and things. I think he came to trust me with like a lot of things. Like, he came to me with a lot of questions, and we would just like, I would say something, he would say something back. So we originally, there was someone else slated for set design, but it didn't work out. So one day we were like, prepping, and he's like, I would really like you to be the production designer as well. So I went to the bathroom and I Googled does a production designer do? And I read it and I'm like, I come out of the bathroom, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And
Just like
I
that.
just like that. So
Wow.
so what is really incredible about that moment, and I love sharing that story, is that I really believe in the universe, like taking you on paths that maybe you didn't even know you were going to go on. And that just started like a whole new road for me. Like, after Terrifier, I did 2 other features as production designer and 6 other short films. So if, like Damien trusting me, and like, that just means so much. And I like will always be grateful for that.
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure that opened up doors, as well. So like, with the success that you've seen from Terrifier 2, which is obviously more successful than the original Terrifier. So
Yeah, I
how,
mean, it's just been incredible. Like, I'm still absorbing everything.
yeah. So like, so how do you feel with seeing like, the budget and then actually how much you guys have been able to make? You're literally so responsible for the
Oh,
success as well. So like, how do you feel?
It's like, I swear, so I was on set filming The Zombie Wedding when Terrifier came out and into theaters and everything. And once that success, like, I'm on set reading these news articles that people are sending me, and I'm just like, I just felt like I got hit by a bus. Because honestly, when you're in this very small group and this small budget film, like really trying to be creative, because most of the money actually went to like the practical effects, obviously, because it's just so above and beyond. So a lot of, I had to get a lot really creative about a lot of things in the rooms and stuff like that. So just to see like all of our very hard work, and we really killed ourselves making this film. And people wore so many hats, like Jackie, who was hair and makeup, was like my Siamese twin. She would help me build rooms too. It's just, if I just think of like how we were really, really in the trenches of the war of art, and then to see this, like it was just unfathomable. We were like, we're gonna get canceled. Like, this is crazy. Like, we never thought it would be in theaters, let alone received so well. And that just, I just can't. I'm just so grateful. I can't really say anything else.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, you guys exactly like just a fan of the franchise and that what you guys did. That's why again, I talk to you just so people can see like you are the mastermind behind a lot of these characters that we love. So just moving.
Thank you. That's so sweet to say. But yeah, and truly, I have to say, like, everything is done in collaboration with Damian. Damian is very hands-on in every detail of everything. But in the best way, because he just cares about everything so much. And I'm the same way. So it really works well. Like, we care about the tiniest detail that no one will ever see. You know what I mean?
like the Queen Phoenix poster.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought who was responsible? I know I watched the interview briefly with you three. It was you, Jackie, and I'm sorry, I forgot the
Brett.
Yeah. So, and you guys were talking about, taking Damian's face, adding, making him look like a girl. So who was responsible for that?
So that was me and Britt in collaboration. Basically, when I was again in pre-production with Damian, I think like we listened to a lot of music, a lot of 80s music and things like that. So I think like randomly we were talking and he was like, if I was a woman, I would have a band called Queen Phoenix. And something in my brain just clicked. And I'm like, you don't tell me things like that and expect me not to like run with it. So Britt, our graphic designer, I was telling her I needed posters for Sienna's room. And I'm like, can you take this face swap? And we had Damian's face swap to a woman. And can you turn this into a band poster called Queen Phoenix with like 80s vibes? And she is just such a brilliant graphic designer. So she made this gorgeous poster and we plopped it on the wall. And when Jackie and I did Sienna's room, we asked Damian not to come in at all until the day of set and to trust us, just because we wanted the time to like really just work on every detail. So he walked on set and, was like really taking in all the details, everything on the shelves, on the desk, on that entire like collage. And, he's looking at the poster and he's like, oh, I love it all, and he just keeps looking at it. And then he was just like, oh my God.
Like
he really loved it though. Yeah.
Hilarious. That is hilarious. So just with the set designing, I know that it was filmed in a barn, right? Or something along those. Like Sienna's room shared a wall with Allie's room. Yes. So how was that, trying to flip back and forth, destroy a room to rebuild a room? Like, how was that?
Absolutely insane. So the other thing is that even though we filmed for so long, like when we're in these spaces, we only have like 48 hours to build the rooms or something. So like, I mean, the framework of the room is there, but to decorate it, to paint it, to bring the furniture in and all this stuff, it's, it's like, let's go. But there are a lot of things come up. So, we're filming in the middle of winter and we're in a barn, so it's cold, even though there's a furnace, it's a huge space. So we're
Yeah.
trying to get the wallpaper up and it starts peeling, the paint's not drying, and we're just looking at each other like,
Hey,
so, yeah. And then like Sienna's room is here, and then there's a hallway, and then Allie's room. So there's like a false hallway. So when you see them leave or open the door, it looks like their respective homes.
mhm.
And there is a wall that was built so that you can remove it for the camera angle also, so you could see that side of the room, but also so that you shifted it, and then that was Allie's wall. So that whole wall in Sienna's room had to be everything taken down and then painted yellow, that famous yellow color. And it was a lot.
Nothing, but you guys did very well. So
Thank
how
you.
working with David and Lauren, Elliot, like, so how was it working with like the actual leads of the film?
Um, Incredible, phenomenal. It's so interesting to me. So the way I like to work is I'm given a script from a director or a production, and I go through it. I like to go through it myself. I don't want anyone telling me anything before I read it. I don't want to know anything about it, because I just want to read it and analyze it in my own thoughts.
Mhm.
And then I talk to the director and we go back and forth and then kind of merge our ideas together. So like reading characters and then seeing them come to life is just like the coolest thing, because it's not only me bringing in these costumes and everything, it's the actor bringing in their art and their talent to this and really bringing to life this character. So like what is really magical about the three of them is, and all the actors really in the film, is that just watching them work, watching how hard and how dedicated they are to their craft, and how many questions they ask, how much they wanted to know the backstories. And like, as a scenic designer, and I'm always like kind of in the background quietly, like watching and listening at all times, but just watching, it was such a privilege. Like just seeing them work was just like incredible. They're all so talented, so nice. I can't speak highly enough of all of them.
For sure. So just three more questions about Terrifier.
Sure, sure.
One, what was the most difficult day on set? Like you're like, oh, I got it over my head.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them. I'm like not even joking. So many of them were so difficult. Like, they're what is so crazy about film, and it really like tests you, is because of all the variables that could go wrong. Like, the electricity could not be working one day, or something bananas.
Yeah.
The morgue, there was no electricity in for the build of it, the morgue scene. So that was interesting. And we built it overnight, with our phone flashlights and a generator and things like that. Yeah, they were all like, yeah. I mean, like, I am so I just can't ever sugarcoat how hard we all worked on this.
For sure. Now, what was the best day on set where like everything was just meshing, shots went good, everything just did what it was supposed to do?
For me, one of the biggest like creative canvases and creative dreams was the clown cafe scene. And that was filmed over a few days, like a weekend, but just everybody was like the nicest ever, like that came onto set. All those extra actors. It was a lot of fun, like attaching blood gags to everybody and killing them. um, that set was so like awesome. Like I just thought it was like the quirkiest, most fun thing, and it was such a collaboration. I like we had a very short time frame, and Phil Falcone, the executive producer, is like such a workhorse. And he's like, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. And I'm like, are you sure? I'm not really sure, but we did it.
For sure. So, I mean, and last question for Terrifier. You don't have to, you don't want to. However, so rumor of Terrifier 3 or kind of confirmed, will we see your work again?
I would be honored to be a part of Terrifier 3.
Uh,
I have no idea any details about that, but I would be truly honored to be back and help further tell this story.
awesome. Now, too much of your time, but I kind of wanted to jump back into like more little personable questions that people can
Sure.
and you. So like if you wasn't in, film and doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
Oh gosh. I have no idea. I can't really think of anything else. I mean, honestly, like as and I love my dad grew up, my dad worked in the hospitality industry. He was a banquet manager of a hotel. And throughout college and everything in high school and through my 20s, a crutch job of mine was always waitressing and the restaurant industry in general and in New York. And I actually really enjoyed it. I loved hospitality. So I wonder if I would like pursue that if I wasn't in the creative arts, but just because I just loved talking to people and making sure everyone had great experiences.
Oh, for sure. Okay. So, and what inspires you? So, on a day-to-day basis, like what is that motivation that just drives you to just keep going?
Honestly, I think it's just storytelling in general. My mom and my grandmother, her mother, were and are just like the most, like the greatest storytellers. They just have so many stories all the time. And I think I just like innately have that. And I just really like, whether it's whatever medium, whether it be photography or film, I just really like conveying stories and, humanity.
Oh, for sure. So it sounds like you have an amazing family. So your family have always been supportive of like your admirations and things you wanted to do?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
I think like any other child and first generation child could speak for this, but usually the dream is that your child is like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. That's how they measure success.
Yeah.
So like me being academic and succeeding in that and then being like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna do costumes. And they were just like, what?
So
So
was that hard to kind of break down that wall at first?
oh yeah, definitely. I think it took quite a few years, but then eventually, like I think they got it. They saw that, like so many people would be reaching out for more work and everything. And I mean, even when they didn't understand it, they were still like supportive in their own way, maybe just like cautiously, if that makes sense. So yeah.
For
Uh
sure.
now, yeah, they're like my biggest fans. So
But that's good. It's always good to have that little backbone, even though they may not see the vision that you see, at least
yeah.
that is there. I think that's very important. So what's the end game for you? What's the goal 5, 10 years down the road? Where do you see yourself, your career?
So like I just like my life goal is just to be able to create in whatever way and just make a living from that because it is truly what fuels me.
Mhm.
Like it is very hard work, but I can't think of anything more like fulfilling than like seeing like really, really hard work like captured on the screen and people enjoying it. Like one of my favorite parts of seeing Terrifier 2 in the theater was just looking at audience reactions and just seeing like I helped do that. Like that's so cool.
You help
So
people throw.
what yeah, I helped that too. This girl that was terrified of horror movies.
It's crazy how things came full circle for you when you got into the horror genre.
Mhm.
So hopefully we see you more involved into other franchises and all that good
Oh,
stuff
I
as well.
would, yeah, I would love it. I was always into like goth and like macabre things, but like Tim Burton type stuff, but not so much like gore and like straight up murder, you know. But now seeing like and being a part of the behind the scenes process is like such a creative dream. Like I can't, it's so much fun. And the horror community is so beautiful. Like seriously.
Yeah, for it to be, gory and murderous, it's the best people I've met personally in the world have been people from the horror community. It's just that everybody's so loving and open arms, and so it's really a beautiful thing. And like I said, you contributed a lot to
Oh, thank
that.
you
Uh,
so much. Seriously.
yeah, more people should know about you and your work. So, and just last little thing in closing, like I said, I don't want to take too much of your
No,
time.
yeah, I'm free to talk however long you'd like.
Sure. So, like, with your future goal, like, is there any projects that you want to work on? Let's say, any actresses or directors that you want to be involved with.
Oh my gosh, Tim Burton, David Lynch. I would like fall over on the ground right now.
For sure. Yeah.
Um,
Like Wednesday.
oh, I do love it, and it's interesting because I really don't like personally, I don't like remakes. Like I think like something that is so classic and untouchable should be left alone, and we tell all the stories that are collecting dust by these brilliant writers, that we create something new. But something like Wednesday just takes it on a new tangent where it's not a remake, but another way of telling the story. So I really, really enjoyed what they did there.
Oh yeah, for sure, totally. So, what advice would you have for someone who wants to be an aspiring production specialist or a costume designer? Like, what advice can you give to someone that can kind of help them out on their walk through that?
So, I mean, I'm no guru because I just kind of took a serendipitous route, but for me, I would say the things I've learned along the way is to, when you don't have opportunities, to try to create them. Try like to get with your talented friends and do like a photo shoot that you think of, or even like a short film. I mean, with the phones now, it's a little easier to do these things in just like as a practice of your craft. And I think like one of the other things to really share is to really, you have to be really thick skinned, like, and tough and tenacious, and because it's not an easy industry, but once you like get the hang of it and like understand that so many things can go wrong, and your creativity is what makes it work in the end. So yeah, just to stay strong in the moment and like keep going, don't give up.
So, any future projects that you can speak on?
So right now I am prepping reshoots for a film I'm working on called The Tannery, which is a horror film. And it's set in 1920s Hoboken in a sweatshop, which is a leather and glove factory. So
Oh, that's giving me Ed Gein vibes. Like, is it going to be like people? Do you know who Ed?
no, I don't.
No, okay. So Ed Gein was like I wouldn't call him a serial killer. He would dig up dead bodies and take skulls and use like human skin to like make belts and different
Ooh,
furniture. Like he would do that. So like when you said
it sounds very familiar. This must have been something that was referred to me in the early stages, actually.
yeah. So yeah, Ed Gein is what he inspired Leatherface. And so
Ah,
in 20s leather shop, that's instantly Ed Gein there. So yeah, no, it has been awesome, just talking to you briefly. And anything you want to say in closing to those fans out there of your work?
oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Like, it really, I honestly, I might get emotional a little bit, but it's just because, we really, really did put blood, sweat, and tears into this. Everyone that was a part of it really put their heart and soul into it. And it means so much that it was so well received, truly.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, but yeah, I don't want to keep you too long. So it was awesome. It was great talking to you, to finally, get to share, my fanboy moment with you, because
Oh, I'm your fan. Thank you for having me. I'm
yeah, no,
honored to be invited to a conversation with you.
yes, ma'am, certainly. And so I hope in the future we can probably do another conversation about some of your other works that's coming in the future.
Anytime.
Uh,
I'd be honored.
for sure. All right. Well, you have a great night, and we'll look forward to seeing you.
You too.
Take care.
Good night.